Craig, back in action at the weekend against Halifax. We'll just touch upon that defeat at the weekend. How are you feeling now you've had a few days to reflect on that?
Yeah, pretty much as it was at the weekend, mate. It's we did our review yesterday, and it's the same message that coming back from the players as well, is that we're making the same mistakes. The stuff that we've been doing all season, we're starting to get into the arm wrestle, and we give pressure releases away either by us not being patient enough and just trying to push something that's not there, or on the defensive side of it, giving teams that leg up by giving early tackle penalties away and letting them roll down the field. So it's frustrating because the guys know what we're doing. They know the mistakes that we're making, but we continue to put them mistakes out there. So there's been a lot of games this season where we've either been winning at half time or within a score at half time, and then we've gone on to lose the game just because we've not managed to see it out. So it's been a season of sort of games that we maybe could have, should have, potentially, possibly should have won a lot more games than what we have done, but we've not managed to do it. So it's very frustrating. It's been a difficult year, and it's going to be a difficult running. And like I said, that on Sunday we've got to get through it by working hard for each other and making sure that we give 100% in everything that we do.
With these final six games that obviously we've got now with the regular season, just how are you kind of approaching each and every single one of them games?
Well, we're approaching it knowing that we're going to be in the four at the end of the season. Whether the playoffs happen or not, it's still undecided. I don't think the RFL have made a decision as yet as whether they are or not, but we're planning as they are happening. So we're preparing for that. So every game that we play, every training session that we have is in preparation to get out of that situation. So we can't control what decisions the RFL make and whether it goes into conferences or one division or it's still staying into two divisions. We don't know that. So we're planning and prepping as if it is the middle eight playoffs. So we're prepping for that at the end of the season. There'll be four really important games for us to prep for. So we're trying to get ourselves into a position where we're ready to go for them four games and make sure that Sheffield stay in this division.
So on to this week, trip to Halifax at Odsal. We've already been there twice this season to play the Bulls. So how are you feeling ahead of playing at a neutral venue this week?
Yeah, it's a neutral venue. It's a strange venue. We've played there a couple of times, haven't we? But the dimensions of the field make it a bit of a challenge, a bit of an anomaly. You lose sort of, I think it's 15, 16 metres in width from a conventional field. So the actual dimensions of the pitch change how you play, they change how you defend, they change how you attack or the shape that you want to play. So you've got to adapt a little bit in that. Halifax, they're a tough team. They're a strong team. I think they play the game pretty much the same every single week. They complete high. They've got a challenging middle unit that whack you when you run at them. They've got a challenging middle unit that carry through the other side as well. So we know what's going. They're going to be completing high. They're going to be competing, and it's up to us to make sure that we compete as hard as what they do.
On Halifax themselves, they made a really, really good start to the league campaign, and then obviously they've fallen off a little bit, find themselves just outside the playoffs. So do you see that as a good chance to go there, maybe not being in the best of form themselves? So how do you feel ahead of what lies ahead on Sunday?
How we feel every week, mate. We're preparing to win the game as we do every single week. As a coaching staff, we review, we preview games, and we set the training out to prepare the boys to make sure that they go out and give us as good account of themselves as they can on the weekend. The players will be doing exactly the same as well. It's a competitive sport, and there's only one team that can win. Unfortunately, this year we've not won as many games as we need to do, so we find ourselves in the situation where we're at. And it's not through lack of effort from the coaching staff or the players or anybody involved with the club. It's just a set of circumstances that have happened, and unfortunately we're in the situation that we are. So the only people that get us out of that is us as a group, us as a collective, and so we're prepping to win the games. We're prepping to win every game that we possibly can, and that's how we prep for this Sunday.
With that game in particular, what could victory do for confidence for the rest of the season?
In terms of league position, it's not going to do a great deal because we're going to be in the four at the end of the year. I think that's a given. But I said earlier, we're prepping for the final four games of the playoffs if they do happen. So we've got to try and put ourselves in a position to be a confident team, because the more confident you are, the more games that you win. And we've seen a number of times this year with teams that are winning, the teams that are confident, they will win close games. And if you're not playing with confidence, you're not getting the wins, you'll lose the close games. So it's down to us to put ourselves in a position, I guess, both physically, mentally, and confidence-wise, that we can win as many games as we possibly can do. And if we win a game this weekend, it takes into a trip over into Toulouse, which is going to be a difficult game as well. We'll take each game as it comes in the same preparation for the end of the season.
I know we just touched upon it, but the pitch dimensions at Odsal, just how much of a an element does that kind of play in for preparation for obviously this weekend's game?
Yeah, it plays a massive part in it, because you can't train or prep on a full size pitch. So we cordon our pitch off at the OLP to the dimensions at Bradford, and so the players have got a decent visual both defensively and defensively. So we prep the dimensions of the pitch, so they know what sort of shape they've got, or what sort of space they've got to play their shapes in, and how difficult it's going to be. So I think physicality wise, it's going to be a massively important thing this week, because of the dimensions, not that much space there. So you've got to create some space, either with the physicality of your carrier, with some determination to fight on the floor, to play quick, to get some second phase rucks or offloads, or just complete your sets and try to fatigue the opposition. I think it was, though, just once in that first 40 minutes at the weekend, we completed 3 sets on the trot. I think we completed 2 sets twice on the trot, and then it was either complete and incomplete, or incomplete again. So you've got to make sure on a pitch like that and in conditions like it's going to be, you've got to try and make sure you fatigue the opposition. And you fatigue the opposition by making them do more defence. It's harder to play rugby league when you've not got the ball than it is when you've got the ball. And by us, like I said, at the weekend, we didn't complete as many sets as we needed to complete to put the opposition under some fatigue, and we've got to make sure we do that at the weekend.
So I can imagine this week, by the sounds of how you describe it there, it'll be very much a forwards game. Discipline will need to be better, as we say, stuff like that. So is that how you kind of approach a game like this one?
Yeah, I said to the guys yesterday in his initial prep that they've got to be prepared for a Halifax team that are going to come, and they're going to be physical, and they're going to be very, very consistent in what they do, and they're going to complete high, and they're going to kick deep, and they're going to defend tough and physical. So we've got to expect that's what's going to come, and we've got to make sure that we do that to them. So it's very, very difficult to throw any sort of shape out there on that field, but you can do that as long as you're winning the ruck and you're carrying through the other side, and you're trying to dictate a little bit of ruck tempo to get some quick play of the balls. So there's ways that you can do that, and then we'll work on some of them areas today in training to see if we can make sure that we can take advantage of that.
I know Jack Bussey came off last weekend. First of all, is he okay? And then you mentioned post-match last week as well, the likes of Massey, Matty Marsh. A week maybe too soon. Can you see them maybe being in contention for this weekend?
Yeah, we're hoping so. We're hoping to get some contact into Massey and Marsha today, just to see how they pull through. But it looks like the motorway's shut, so whether they get to train or not, it's an unknown. And it's one of these things that we cope with every single week. There's always something that crops up, but hopefully they can get through. But at the minute, we're not expecting to get here. Jack Bussey, he's not trained as yet, and he won't train tonight. He's still struggling with his eye a little bit, but we're hopeful that with the drops that the doctor's given him, he can pull through. Fortunately for us, he passed his HIA at half time, but he weren't able to come back on because his vision weren't as it needed to be. We've got, I think, another 3 or 4 people from the weekend that can't do any contact at the minute as well, so they're touch and go. So as it's been for most weeks this season, ask me on Friday and I'll have a better picture.
Conor Bauer, is he expected to be back involved this weekend?
No, there's been a delay in him returning from his HIA, so Conor Bauer won't be available.
And then, as I say, big game. What's your message to the fans who can obviously join us in Bradford?
Yeah, mate, it's been tough. It's been difficult, and I fully appreciate that they're going to be frustrated as much as what we are. I can promise you 100% it's not through a lack of effort, a lack of trying, a lack of desire, a lack of will or want from anybody's part. It's just been a frustrating season, I guess, on the field and off the field as well for the entire club, and we need to try and group together as much as we possibly can to end the season strong and make sure that Sheffield stay in Championship.